ahead of major festivals and assembly elections in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, the Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved the extension of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana or PMGKAY for another 3 months from October to December 2022. Launched in April 2020 during the first wave of the pandemic, the scheme extends 5 kg of wheat or rice per person per month free of cost to all beneficiaries of the National Food Security Act, estimated at 80 crore. This is in addition to their regular monthly quota of food grains under NFSA. The latest extension, dubbed the 7th phase of PMGKAY, entails an additional expenditure of 44,762 crore rupees over and above the budgeted food subsidy for FY23. Phase 6 from April to September 2022 cost the exchequer almost 86,000 crore rupees. For all phases, the overall expenditure of the scheme will swell to about 3.91 trillion rupees. And with phase 7, estimated expenditure on food subsidy this fiscal would be 3.38 trillion rupees against the budgeted 2.07 trillion. But the government could see some savings in procurement and carrying cost this year due to a decline in wheat purchases. Also, considering the healthy collections in direct and indirect taxes so far, the impact of the additional outlay should not be very stark. Direct tax collections are on track to exceed the budget target. The centre is counting primarily on strong tax collections this year to maintain its FY23 fiscal deficit target of 6.4% of GDP. Its subsidy and welfare spending commitments have increased due to inflationary pressures and supply chain disruptions triggered by the Ukraine war. Economist Vivek Kumar explains if the scheme's continuation and additional outlay can put pressure on fiscal management.
This is only one of the factors which will create pressures on the deviation of the fiscal deficit from the actual target of 6.4. For example, there is also an issue of having extended government extending subsidies. That itself is more than a 1 lakh crore additional spending that the government is doing vis-a-vis what they had budgeted. But on the positive side, the government is doing much better than what they had budgeted on the taxes front. They've garnered a little bit of extra cushion on telecom spectrum auction. They've garnered a little bit of extra cushion on lower procurement of wheat because the wheat output had fallen last year. So these are some of the savings that the government has done, and taxes are doing much better. All said and done, government will, towards the end of the day, if the pressure arises, they can tweak revenue spending or in fact even capital spending to that extent to meet the budgetary numbers. Last but not the least will be the nominal GDP growth. So government had taken an assumption of I think 11.1% or thereabouts, whereas the actual situation could be much higher because of inflation. Your nominal GDP growth could be close to 16%. So what will happen is when you're publishing a fiscal deficit ratio, your denominator will be much higher than what you had projected. In our calculation, the denominator alone will give you a 40 basis points of cushion.
A day before the cabinet decision, the Finance Ministry's Department of Expenditure objected to the extension in an office memorandum sent to the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. It said that since the COVID-19 pandemic had subsided considerably, the reasons for which the earlier extensions were given do not hold anymore, adding that the financial implication was a substantial one. The note flagged existing fiscal concerns due to the war in Europe, its impact on fuel prices, and the consequent rise in other subsidies. The department suggested a reduction in quantity if the Food Ministry still decided to go ahead with the continuation of the scheme. Continuation of PMGKAY over a long period of time may give an impression of its permanent or indefinite continuation and make it difficult to stop, the office memorandum added. But does the financial distress caused by COVID still persist? Professor Deepa Sinha, who is actively involved with the Right to Food campaign, tells whether the scheme's extension is warranted, at least in the short term, despite COVID-19 cases abating.
As we know that in the last 2 years, this has been one of the most effective relief schemes that the government has been running. towards softening the impact of COVID on unemployment for the poor. In my opinion, I think it is very much needed that the scheme is continued, at least in the present situation, because although the COVID infections have gone down, the economic impact has not gone down. And in fact, what we are finding is that people are now reeling under a double pressure because food inflation is something that is new. It did not exist in the first year of COVID and is something that happened later. And there has been an inflation in cereal prices as well, whereas unemployment and wages have not really taken off yet. What we are seeing is that because these 10 kgs of cereal is available, basic food security is met. Even if they earn nothing in a day, they have grains in the house. And this is one of the things that can help people, in fact, come out of distress, because it's also an implicit income transfer. Also, that we still have a large amount of food stocks. So the only difference that happens is an accounting difference. I mean, government has already purchased this grain. It is there in FCI. It now shows in your account books as a budgetary expenditure, right? So actually, in effect, I don't think it is such a big concern, and I think it really needs to be continued.
There are still people who need such support, and the government, which appears to have some limited leeway left, has acted accordingly. It appears that the government is trying to strike a delicate balance between providing relief to those who need it the most without upsetting its fiscal math too much.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.